Kia ora koutou, this is Jackie Hay from Creative New Zealand again. For those of you who've just joined us, I'd like to welcome you to Getting the Most Out of YouTube. Just before we start, I'd like to remind everybody to make sure that they are on mute, just because there's somebody who isn't on mute and that's causing a little bit of background disturbance. And if you may not realise, but if you're not on mute, sometimes you can hear people in the background or conversations going on, so that would be great. And just while we're on technical issues, we'll be having questions about halfway through and then also questions at the end. And if you want to ask a question, it would be really great if you asked in the Q&A section rather than the chat section. So if you've got any issues or problems or want to make a comment, feel free to use the chat section, but it's the Q&A where we want to see the questions. That would be great. So YouTube is one of those channels that most of us have, but we're not really sure exactly what to do with it or how to get the most out of it. And so that's one of the reasons why we chose it as our topic for this week. It's a question that we get asked a lot, and we're absolutely delighted on behalf of Creative New Zealand and Vicky Allpress-Hill, who runs the Optimise series, to welcome the Digital Marketing Director from ACMN. So Rae Bassett is going to be our presenter today, and she comes from Australia's largest entertainment marketing and advertising agency. So she's got experience marketing lots of events, both in New Zealand. She's marketed past event seasons of Jersey Boys, Potted Potter, Nutcracker on Ice, the music of Andrew Lloyd Webber, Rick Stein, Heston Blumenthal, and some of the projects that she's got coming up or events that she's got coming up to market include Stomp, An Evening with Julie Andrews, Wicked, Coronation Street on Stage, and lots more. So she's incredibly experienced. Many of you will remember her from one of our webinars last year, and right now I'd just like to welcome Rae and thank her very much for her time and hand over to her now.
Thank you very much. Can you hear me? Just confirming my mute is off.
Yes, it is, Rae. You're all good to go, Rae.
Okay, thank you. All right, thanks everybody. Let's dive straight in. So the plan for today was in the first half to talk about just your basic channel settings and optimizing your channel and how you might engage YouTube as a community. And then in the second half, we'll focus more on the YouTube as a marketing planning tool and as an advertising platform. I won't spend too much time on the overall YouTube stats this morning because I really figure you're probably all here because you're convinced and you know it's a great platform. Socialbakers.com is a great place where you can get some stats on YouTube in New Zealand. Here are just some of the fastest growing channels on YouTube over the last month. And you can also get a list of the top channels and dive into actually those to see how their views and their subscribers are growing. I think it's really great actually to see the Museum of New Zealand on this list in number 12 there. And in fact, the New Zealand Ballet isn't very far behind. That's really terrific to see because it's certainly not something we're seeing in Australia. YouTube time spent per stream. So this is a stream is one individual video play in this case. These are figures from February. You can see how the actual time spent per stream has been growing lately. So people are spending more and more time watching an individual video on YouTube. This gives you a good indication for the average length of a video where people might stay on to watch. So 2.7 minutes in this case for January it was. We would see probably typically across all of our videos an average of about 2.5 minutes. So we actually edit and create most of our videos for that length. Very occasionally we might have something longer if we're very convinced that the content is great and our audience will stay on. The total time spent on YouTube versus other platforms. So people spend an enormous amount of time on YouTube. So I know Facebook are always crowing about their statistics for how long their users are spending on site. But really, YouTube have the highest number of unique users and the highest active reach of all of these channels listed here. Although I will say that in terms of video views, Facebook is gaining ground, so they are getting more of the video share. So let's talk about One Channel. One Channel is the new channel format from YouTube. It's a mobile-friendly channel design that they're just releasing now. You have to opt into the new One Channel design. And I wanted just to say today that I really think you should do that. It's a fantastic new setup with lots of great new features. People are watching their YouTube channel everywhere. They're on their couches, they're on their desks, they're at the bus. Sorry, they're on the bus. So the real beauty of the new channel setup is that it's really device-friendly across all those devices. It also has some great new features that really allow you to get some direct response from your video channel that previously, I will say, were only available for people who were spending quite a bit of money on YouTube advertising. So it's really great to see these features. I'll just give you a quick tour. This is one that we've been setting up this week for the launch of a new project, Grease the Musical. So you'll see here it has a cover image at the top. We've got an icon over the left-hand side. This is what I was talking about as the new features. So you can actually add links to your website just here, and you can also add links to your social channels. So we've just got Facebook and Twitter in the case of Grease, but you can have Instagram, you can have Pinterest, and it's really, really simple to add all of those when you're setting up your channel. There's some channel art specifications. Thankfully, it used to be quite difficult to get good specs from YouTube, but they have a great support site for the new One Channel setup, which gives you all the dimensions and shows you how to optimize your imagery here for all the different formats. It's very simple to follow, so I suggest you go there and make the move to One Channel. Another of the great features on One Channel is this option here to set a channel trailer. So at this point we hadn't done that yet for Grease, but you can see over the right-hand side here, you have an option to actually decide which video an unsubscribed person will see and which video a subscriber will see. So in that, there's some great examples online. If you start browsing some of the One Channel setups, you'll see a lot of the companies that have made the move have terrific videos here that really talk about what they're going to offer on the channel, and in their descriptions they have lots of calls to action to subscribe. So it's really important to actually make that connection with what you want users to do when they get there. So here's an example of Grease, the way we've customised our trailer for non-subscribers. Another great feature about the new One Channel setup is the playlists are just so much better than the current channel format, and I really think that will work incredibly well for many of you. Of course, I've got puppies and cats here, which everybody loves to watch on YouTube. But it really, the whole playlist setup that they've created really allows you to curate and to approach YouTube quite differently. So to approach it as someone who might curate not only your own content, but also other content that you find on YouTube. So some quick tips on setting up your One Channel. Definitely add social and website links to your channel. So here's an example here of some where you've got website and all those different links. Another really important tip that you all need to be aware of is to control advertising on your content. And YouTube, of course, they make money by advertising on your content, so they do make it a little bit hard to find how to turn it off. That might not necessarily be your strategy. If you have a very popular channel as an arts organisation, you might say, well, actually, we do want to monetize the channel and turn it into something that can generate income for us, in which case there is this feature here, monetization, when you're setting up your channel. You can enable that to actually start earning some income from your channel advertising, so you get a small percentage of the cost per view paid to YouTube. You also have this option here in the advanced settings where you can turn off advertising. And personally, we actually do that for all of our channels and all of our videos, so that's my preferred approach. Over to you. Some other things that you should do when you're doing your first setup is link your YouTube channel to a shared Google account. Now, we've had problems in the past with people who have set up a YouTube channel based on a private email address, so that's just a recommendation to you that make sure it's not a private Google account or Gmail address that your YouTube channel is linked to, because it's very hard to move them once they're linked. And even harder these days now, Google's going down their real integration path with YouTube. And the other thing to do is to link your YouTube channel to your AdWords account. I'll talk more about the benefits of doing that a bit later. Okay, so let's dive into the channelization of YouTube and how you might build a genuine community around your channel. I think it's really exciting, some of the features on YouTube, and I don't think that many of us really make the best use of those. In fact, I'm guilty of that sometimes too. I push YouTube down my list of priorities and think, oh, well, I published a video and then off I go and that's the end of it. Well, it's really not. One of the great places to start is to really think about viable programming strategy. So really aiming for a cohesive viewing experience, for thinking of it very much the way someone managing a TV channel would. So fit each video into a larger vision for your channel. When you're creating content, think about the compelling content first. So you need to make sure that your best content is in the first 30 seconds. And then if you've got branding information, then it can come later on. So you want to make sure that you actually get the viewers in so that you have a chance to communicate to them a bit longer. I'd suggest, particularly with this new playlist setup that we have with one channel, is to really think about how you'd serialize your content across multiple videos. And we'll talk about this a little bit more as we look at examples. You can create a playlist mode. One of the other simple ways to do it to keep people on your channel is to use serial numbers. So that would be, say, in the actual graphics of your video and also in the title of your video. You might say, behind the scenes, The Addams Family, episode 1. So continue to number things that way, which encourages people to go, oh, there might be another episode. Okay, I'm going to look for that. Or there's a link to that, the next episode, actually within the description of episode 1. So let's actually keep them on your channel and exploring your content rather than just diving into one video and disappearing. You can also use annotations as a way to connect people between videos. So annotations is something that you can add in the editing area for each video, where you can actually overlay a comment and a link. So you might do that towards the end of an episode to link people to the next episode. And like I said, you can use the video description is a great place to actually tell people that there's another episode and help them to find it. One of the really critical parts of YouTube strategy is to feed your feed. So I'm talking about uploading new content on a regular basis to develop a more engaged fan base. It's not too dissimilar to Facebook, which most of you'd probably be posting on daily. Think about more regular updates to your YouTube strategy. There's lots of advice there about having a regular day of week that you might post a video. I don't think that's necessarily essential, but I do think that we could all, as creators generally of arts and entertainment, we could all be doing a great deal more. So some more ideas on your channel strategy. Directing viewers to take action is a great way to build your audience. And I think most of us are just far too passive when it comes to our YouTube channel. We need to develop an approach where we're actually inviting and asking for interaction, much as the same way we would on Facebook. So like I said before, you can develop a non-subscriber video and include a subscribe call to action in the description with a link. So give them a reason to subscribe, let them anticipate what they might find on your channel. You can invite viewers to watch the next episode. You can ask questions. So the whole commenting and liking feature in YouTube is, again, not dissimilar to Facebook. So I actually encourage you to use that more, to actually ask questions in your description or even directly in the video and encourage people to leave a comment. You can also use annotations. There's a feature called Spotlight Annotations, where let's say you might have an end board in your video with a call to action or some kind of voiceover towards the end of the video. Then you can actually create spotlight annotations, which as people are nearing that that time in the video, there'll actually be an area on screen where they can click to go to your website, or click to book tickets, or click to purchase a product, or click to subscribe. One thing I will just point out is that in terms of those actions that people can take with your content, it's a violation of YouTube's terms to actually incentivize clicks, so giveaways, prizes, that sort of thing, so keep that in mind. So channel strategy, YouTube is also a community, so I'd encourage you not to forget that. Feature the community in your videos, their content and their comments. This is a real comment from one of the videos we created for Legally Blonde. It was actually a bend and snap video competition, so our fans contributed their own bend and snap videos, and it's just a great response from one of the fans when we made a mashup of all their videos to post on our channel, and this is someone who spotted themselves. Make an announcement through your channel, so posts are a great way to do that, and that appears in subscribers' feed. Be present and active just like you would on Facebook. Respond to comments and give those YouTube comments the same attention you would. Some other ideas, you might work with other content creators and cross-promote. We do that so well in the creative industry, so we really should be taking that same approach onto YouTube. And create unique hashtags. So you might have a hashtag for your channel, and you always use that in your Twitter strategy. Metadata. So you're probably all rolling your eyes here. I had a fun time doing this last night. I thought, how do I make this interesting for everybody? So I Googled it. I thought, I could find a nice image. Someone's bound to have made a nice image, and all I found was this mess of really horrendous graphics. The really important thing with metadata is this is the single most important thing that you can do to increase the impact of your channel. Let me explain. So think of YouTube as the world's second biggest search engine behind Google, of course. So metadata is the thing that helps YouTube to index your content, and it also helps users to find your content. So metadata is the information that surrounds your video. It's the title, it's the description, and it's the tag. So all these things are vitally important when you're uploading your content. Make your title compelling, of course, but also optimize it for keywords. Optimize your description for keywords and actions, and use your tags. I see so many people who load videos into YouTube and don't fill out any tags. You really must fill out tags. So for example, for something like Adam's Family videos, I might use tags and keywords throughout everything, like behind the scenes. I'll have keywords like musical, I would have Broadway musical, I'd have the name of the stars, I'd have the name of the creators, I'd have Charles Adams who wrote the series, I would of course have Adam's Family. Really take the time to make sure this information is with your videos. It's vitally important. I've included a checklist here which you can come back to later. And I think now might be a good time for questions actually.
So as we start, so this is the question from Starter again. The idea of the proportion of users.
Sorry, I'm not hearing you very well.
You know what? I had speakerphone on, sorry. So any idea of the proportion of users who are signed in when using YouTube?
You know what, I don't know that proportion. It is relatively high. The reason I know that is that in doing video advertising on YouTube specifically, the advertising sometimes relies on demographic information that's based on their logged in status. So I do find from my video advertising that most of the views that I get from YouTube are, I know the demographics of that person. I don't get many in the unknown category, which would be the not logged in, no cookies variety. So yeah, I think it would be really quite high. I would say though that commenting generally is definitely quieter than something like Facebook, but I still think it's something that we can really build on. That there are channels out there with very, very active communities, and it's not something I'm seeing so much in the creative industries, and I think there's real potential there.
Rae, thank you. I have a number of things I thought might be interesting to ask, just listening to your content. You mentioned using hashtags in your YouTube strategy and integrating them with Twitter. Mm-hmm. Can you give a couple of examples of this? Or
yeah,
how you might use, yeah.
let's say you're doing a particular behind the scenes series, for example. So whenever you're posting a new behind the scenes video from that series, then you might have a hashtag that just goes with that series. So it makes it easy for someone to follow on over a long term, over your content strategy.
Sure. And we've got another really good question from Pen, and I think he's right here. In my experience, most channels really aren't trying to drive subscribes, and I think you're right with that, Pen. Any thoughts on how you can build your subscriber base?
Yeah, I think mostly we just don't ask them to subscribe,
yes.
Which is really quite funny, isn't it? But the new strategy, so the new one channel setup is really terrific for driving subscribes. I really think we'll see tremendous growth in that. The subscribe button is much more obvious in the new channel format, and what you can do is actually link to a subscribe action. That might be something actually that I can send you the code, the format to use for that link afterwards. I haven't included it here, but you can actually include a great, like in your description, a bit of call to action to subscribe, and then a link that opens up the subscribe feature. So I think that's a really great way to do it. And of course, the other thing is to have valuable content on a regular basis. So give them a reason to subscribe. Think about your videos in terms of series, just like a soap opera would, for example. Give them some expectation and anticipation of what's coming up next. Some great examples in Australia. King Kong did quite a good strategy initially when they were launching the musical, where they sent out an email that promoted their upcoming videos. So they actually listed, before they'd produced them or released them, all the different videos that were coming, a little bit about them, and from that email they included a link through to subscribe. So I think that's a great idea too. Many of us have really fantastic email databases that we've built up, so we should use them more as a tool to drive to YouTube.
Thanks, Rae. So you mentioned YouTube and the YouTube terms and conditions that it's not allowed to incentivize clicks. A couple of things about that. How should people keep in touch with what the terms and conditions are, and are there any other particular thorny ones that people can trip up on that you know of? I mean, my experience is that YouTube is a lot freer than Facebook on these things, but what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I would agree. I think it is definitely more open and feels more community driven, I think, than Facebook. There are lots of pitfalls actually just generally with your YouTube strategy, and on some of my later slides I will talk about some of the things that have happened to me and what I've had to deal with. Staying up to date, maybe subscribe to some of YouTube's channels because they have some great content, and that way will keep you up to date with what's happening.
Thanks for all that, Rae. I'll let you carry on with the webinar.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about YouTube for planning. So this is about how I'm using YouTube at the moment as a way to actually plan marketing and advertising strategy. One of the first questions that I ask myself when I'm developing a strategy for a new event is, does a community exist for our content on YouTube? So here are some examples of recent plans that I've developed for Slava and for Stomp, and the kinds of things I might look at. So for Slava, you can see that I've said, okay, well, how many existing videos are there for Slava's Snow Show, because it's been around for a while. How many Cirque videos are there, because we're thinking, okay, Cirque du Soleil is a good target audience for us, so is there much content there? Then I searched even more broadly, well, how many circus-related videos are there? And then in this case, I looked at, okay, we're interested in arts festival audience, so let's do a search and find out how many arts festival-related videos there are. This will all make a little bit more sense when we come to talking about the advertising, because we can use these audiences as a way to reach very targeted markets on YouTube. Stomp is another example where I've been looking at the number of Stomp videos, of course. Stomp were part of the closing ceremony at the London Olympics, so I looked at, well, how much content is there out there for the Olympics? Of course, not as much, because they're much more controlling about their content. We looked at some other target audiences like So You Think You Can Dance and the Justice Crew, who are big in Australia. YouTube advertising gives you a number of terrific options for actually overlaying your message on other people's content. So that is where you get tremendous value out of your YouTube advertising. The YouTube advertising has just come leaps and bounds in the last even 6 months easily. It's fast, it's effective, it's versatile. It can also be very, very cheap. It doesn't need to be something that's expensive. I remember video advertising generally used to be something people go, oh, can't afford that. That's, you know, thousands of dollars in serving costs. But YouTube and Google in particular have made this just so achievable for everybody. You only pay when a video is viewed. When you set it up as an ad, there's no minimum spend. So if you want to trial a strategy and spend, you know, $100, then that's totally fine. You can manage your YouTube advertising out of Google AdWords. So I assume most of you already have a Google AdWords account for your search advertising. It's tightly targeted. So like I was saying on those previous slides, you can reach viewers based on a topic they're searching for. So much like Google paid search advertising, you have someone who's actively searching for information on a topic. You can target based on what they're viewing, their general interest, age, or gender. One really vital thing, again, I mentioned it before, you must link AdWords and YouTube for your remarketing, and I'll talk about how we've been doing that. So here are some of the video formats I'll talk about. In-stream reaches people before they watch a video. So you'll see here, you'll remember these, I'm sure. Skip this ad now. We all think, oh, that's a bit annoying, isn't it, having to watch an ad before the actual content I want to watch. I think because of that, it's really vital that when you do pre-roll or in-stream, you make sure you're overlaying your in-stream to the right audience so that that annoyance factor is eliminated. You know, if I'm going and I'm going to watch a video on the New Zealand Ballet and then an ad comes on about another dance production, then I'm going to watch that. I'm going to think, oh yeah, okay, I'll watch that one before I get to the ballet video. So make sure when you do in-stream, you target your ads really well. And I think the other thing is to just keep in mind the length, of course. Please don't put a 2-minute, 33-minute video as in-stream. You only pay if they watch for 30 seconds or to the end of the ad if it's shorter. So for most of our in-stream advertising, we would actually use just a 15 seconds. So its idea is rather similar to TV advertising. It's very effective in-stream at boosting recall. It works really well in tandem with TV, and that's the way we run our in-stream advertising. So whenever there's a TV burst, we have in-stream ads running at the same time. So we always do the two in tandem. They work very, very well together. Excuse me. The next format's in search and in display. So these reach people when they're searching for videos or while watching videos. So this example up here, so you can see I've searched for New Zealand ballet, and up the top here someone's got an ad running at the moment. If you love ballet, here's another video that you might want to watch. So that's actively directing people to your channel to build views on your channel and to build subscribers. You select, so you create a heading here for your ad and you write the description. You can select any of the videos that are currently on your YouTube channel, and it's very, very easy to set up in Google AdWords. I'd encourage you when you're doing this, just like you would with your paid search advertising, to actually try different copy versions. So don't just set one ad and off you go. Actually create 3 or 4 or 5 different versions, try different calls to action here, try different copy here, and learn from that and see which ones work best for you. I haven't found any magic formula for doing this at the moment. It really is just so different depending on what the audience is and what the video is. This is an example here of in display. So you can see here, as you might be actively watching a particular video, in display are promoted videos that appear over here. If there's no medium rectangle display ad on the right-hand side, then this promoted video will actually appear right up here at the top of the list. So it's a great way to say, well, if someone's watching a video on the classic Addams Family in this example here, well, I'm saying, well, after they've watched that video on the original Addams Family TV show, I want them to come over here and watch my video of Addams Family, the musical. So here are some examples just from, we've run, gosh, I don't know, 30 or more YouTube advertising campaigns, probably well more than that. And I went through last night and just looked at the averages across all of those, average budgets, average results. So these are pretty typical for us. Let's say we might spend $3,000 over about a 2-week period. Of course, like I said before, if your budget's $100, just spend $100. You don't need to spend $3,000, but I just thought I'd give you that as an example of what we would do. So that would be a 2-week burst timed, like I said, with TV. The typical examples, so like I said, you pay per view, so that could be anything from about 4 cents to 90 cents. I do find on average New Zealand's probably a little bit cheaper than Australia. So I think most of your video views in New Zealand, if that's where your target audience is based, would be in the lower end of that. And for us, looking over the last 12 months, 30 cents has been about average. So if you're doing a budget, you'd probably budget on that. The view rate, so this is for your your pre-roll or in-stream ads. So about 8% of people will actually get to the end of the video. I think that's quite a good result, actually, considering how many of us feel about the irritation factor of that kind of advertising. And about 3% for in-stream. So in this case, that's people who actually click and respond to the ad. So they've watched the ad and then they're responding by clicking through to a channel or a website. That's a pretty good result when you think about it, compared to some of the click-through rates I'm seeing on even Facebook advertising lately. Then that's a good response from a video. And I suppose it really comes back to making sure that you have your content appropriately targeted at the right audience. For this kind of budget, you might expect about 1,000 call to action clicks, so that's 1,000 people who've, say, visited a website or done whatever action that you wanted them to in your campaign. So that gives you an idea of the kind of results you might expect. Image ads are another thing that you can do on YouTube. So this is using, again, the Google AdWords platform to serve an image or banner ad on YouTube as a site. So you can reach people while they're watching videos. There are these really cute little tiny icons and messages that can overlay videos. I don't use them very often. I'd rather use in-stream or pre-roll myself, but if you have quite a simple retail message, I think that could work well. I just find for my kind of product, it's very visual. I want people to actually watch the dancing. I want them to see a little bit of singing. That's the kind of experience I want for them, so the in-stream works better. And there's also these companion banners that can sit over the right-hand side over here. So this is your typical flash or display banner. Works on the same method, so it's a cost per click bidding based on, say, a topic or interest targeting. So I could say I want to target everyone with an interest in cricket in New Zealand. I could say I want to target everyone with an interest in Broadway musicals, as I do often. So it's very flexible targeting. I will say the cost per click, though, obviously will depend on the popularity of the content that you want to advertise on. So if you're picking something like for Legally Blonde, we were for a while targeting The Voice, which is a popular talent show over in Australia. I'm not sure if it's made it to New Zealand. When we were advertising on The Voice, we were paying a much higher cost per click, but we thought it was worth it because they were a valuable target audience for us. YouTube Masthead, I thought I'd mention, I'm guessing it may not be something that many people can afford, but I think I was always curious about, well, how much it would cost. So I thought I'd run a recent example for you. So YouTube Masthead is the really large eyeball-catching ad that sits on the YouTube homepage right at the top of the page. So it costs about $40,000 to $50,000 for a single day. In our case, what that would buy you would be 100% of homepage impressions in Australia and New Zealand for that single day. We recently did a campaign on the YouTube homepage for the Adams family as part of our partnership, tourism partnership with Destination New South Wales here. You can preview our ad creative there, and here's just one part of the ad which I've shown you. And there are also so many amazing examples of this YouTube Masthead ad out there. Here's one that I've included, excuse me, which is a link to an ad for Snow White, just gorgeous looking ad. I'll just explain how we'd formatted our ad. We had about a 10 to 15 second pre-roll video. So when you first went to the YouTube homepage, this whole area was alive with a video of the Adams family dancing, snapping their fingers, some of our key messages about the cast, and that we're in Sydney. And then after that brief video ended, after 10 seconds, it actually went to this more static image here. It has an opportunity for multiple links, so they can play our video within the actual masthead without closing it. They can click through to Book Now. They can click through to our social channels, and I'll share some of the results from this with you. Okay, no surprise here. YouTube viewers like to browse videos. Once they went through to the Adams Family website, most people from YouTube wanted to browse more videos. So luckily we had a whole series of videos on the Adams Family site. I'm talking about the creation of the product and Charles Adams cartoons, etc. So most commonly that's what they did when they got there. I thought that was interesting that they did that and they didn't stay on YouTube to explore more content. In future, I'd probably change my strategy there. I'd actually think more directly about, well, that's what they're going to do when they come to a site. So in future, with our clickable overlays and our annotations where we're driving people to a website, I'll actually think a little bit more about making sure there's more video content embedded on that landing page. We, on that single day, got 5,400 video views. That's for this video here, not the one that ran before it. The one that ran before it had, I think it was about 1.5 million views on that day. We had, from this link here, over 11,000 website visits on that single day. 79% from Australia, 19% from New Zealand, and overall for this campaign a 3.9% conversion rate, which is really terrific. I mean, for most display advertising, that's very broad like that because we're targeting everybody in those countries on that single day. I would think a conversion rate of 1% would be average. So 3.94% was terrific. Our video, so this one here that sat within the masthead was 30 seconds long, so you can see that most people watched the video to the end. They only just dropped off right at the end, which was it definitely showed that they were interested. So the next step really for us in that is talking about YouTube remarketing. So now that you can link AdWords to your YouTube channel, one of the great things you can do is actually remarket to those people. So I'll just come back here for a minute. So these people who watched 5,400 video views in that day, that's not the end of it, our relationship with them. We weren't interested at the time in building a subscriber base. That wasn't our goal. Our goal was definitely about book tickets, selling tickets. But we built up a fantastic audience in that day that we could actually remarket to. So we use YouTube for remarketing to website visitors, and we use AdWords for remarketing to YouTube viewers. So the two things go each way. We can do display ads, text ads, or video ads to reach those people again. I'm experimenting with those different formats at the moment. I think logically it may work better to run video ads as remarketing to YouTube viewers. So people who've watched a YouTube video in the past, let's say, if we have a new video with new content from behind the scenes, then we might use that to remarket to engage their interest again. Or we might, say, have a special offer. So let's say we have a new TVC type video, so more obvious advertising video that's promoting a particular holiday price. Then we could actually use that to remarket to previous YouTube viewers. You can also use image and display ads to remarket to your YouTube viewers. Give you some ideas from our recent campaign performance. So about 40% will watch a video to the end. This is about double our normal average for video advertising. So the remarketed audiences are very important, and I really would say to you, make sure you don't ignore them as an audience. We'd see click-through rates of 0.15, 0.4%. They're a little bit lower than what I guess I would hope to see, but the conversion rate is so terrific at the other end that it's definitely worthwhile. And then, like I said, keep refreshing the offer is one of the really vital things about remarketing. So we've done an enormous amount of remarketing for Legally Blonde, the musical here, and for Jersey Boys when it was in New Zealand. We would have multiple offers on rotation at a time. So that would be, we might have a student price, we might have a special offer, we might just have a generic ad with, say, a review or something like that. So we'd actually be running 4 or 5 different remarketing things at the same time to keep it fresh and also to learn a little bit about that audience and what they're going to respond to. Oh no, what can go wrong on YouTube? Oh, I've had so many experiences here. Trademark violations and copyright infringement. Okay, I've had problems before with loading content that included music that YouTube would flag as belonging to someone else. So even though, of course, as a responsible producer, we always get and pay for the correct permissions for all of our content, YouTube doesn't necessarily know that when we load something. So now when we're actually loading a video as part of a really critical marketing strategy, we make sure we load it a week before if we can, which gives you time to actually solve any of these problems that you might be having with trademark violations. For example, recently, we forgot to do that. We loaded something quite late. We posted it up onto Facebook, and then we found that anyone clicking through from a mobile device couldn't see it because someone had a copyright claim over the song. So, damn, we wasted that opportunity. So make sure you give yourself some time to preload content to YouTube so that you can resolve any of those problems for really critical content. We've had other people violating our right to own content. You can, as a creator and producer, that might be a concern for some of you. You can ask for that content to be taken down. There are very clear areas in YouTube where you can submit a trademark or copyright violation, and YouTube do act on those. So you might expect that perhaps it would take a week or two for something to come down, but they're very, very good at responding to those complaints. So if you see something that you're not happy with, make sure you do that. Obviously, you know, you have to have very clear right. In this case, for us, it was someone who had, say, recorded a show through their iPhone and then published the whole show up on YouTube. So we had very clear right to say that they weren't allowed to do that. Oh, spam comments, wow. Okay, you do need to keep an eye on the comments on your channel. We've been working with the Australian Museum here in Sydney on the Alexander the Great exhibition, and we had enormous problems right back in the beginning of the channel with people making racial remarks on the channel, and it really got quite ugly. And there was actually one person that was making one comment a minute for several days, and that was a person, not an actual bot, a person doing that. And it was a really difficult situation to manage. Now, we posted some sort of terms of behaviour on there to try to manage that situation. We did find that we had to delete a lot of comments, which I wouldn't normally like to do, but they were racist and derogatory, so we had a good reason to do that. And that has been a difficult one for us to manage. I hope you never come across anything like that, because it's been quite difficult. On the one hand, with most channels, we're really encouraging and wanting comments, but in this case, it got so out of control that we needed to shut down comments. So you can do that if you ever come to that situation. Moving accounts and channel names, like I said before, can be really difficult. So make sure that you have your channel linked to a shared account that can be passed on when a staff member leaves. We've also had problems in the past with squatters, so someone who might have taken a channel name that was very brand focused. From memory, I think we had that issue with Legally Blonde in Australia. So I would say to you, if you have a brand and you don't yet have a YouTube channel, then I think even if you're not going to use it, you should go out and set up your channel and grab a channel name that you're happy with in case you want to do it in the future, and also to prevent any squatters on your brand name. Okay, but of course in the end, the best way to learn is to watch some videos on YouTube. If you want to learn more about YouTube, here's a great resource. They have this terrific tutorials which gives you lots of advice about how to best record, light your own videos, which is certainly very achievable for all of us. You don't need to spend a lot of money these days. A little handy cam and a tripod is all you need. But this particular tutorials page also goes on to some great advice about your channel strategy, about marketing, and all the things that I've spoken about today. So I encourage you to go to this creators area and to check it out. Thank you very much. I think I've spoken enough, although let me know if you have any questions.
So Rae, thank you so much. I can't thank you enough. This is Vicky Allpress Hill here, everyone. That has been a fantastic webinar, very, very practical. I know it's going to be incredibly useful for everyone listening in and those who listen in later. So really want to thank you for your efforts there. I would just like to ask people to send through your questions in the Q&A box. I have a few starter questions, but I'm sure there's quite a lot that you're all still wanting to ask, so don't be shy. You just have to pop it in the Q&A box. And even if you've got a question but you don't want to type it out, just say, I have a question, and then we can get you off mute and get you asking. So I guess I just wanted to talk a little bit more, Rae, about the call to action and how important that is on YouTube, because often we forget that aspect. So we put up some, as you say, some quite passive content. Do you have any sort of examples of what typically with the campaigns you run would be the call to action? Is it about subscribing to the channel? Is it about buying tickets? Is it about reading more? What are some examples of the calls to action that you use?
Yeah, look, most of my life is spent in a very retail world, so they are most often a call to action to buy tickets. So we're driving people to a website. That being said, we are interested more and more these days in actually building subscribers and keeping people interested in a series. So that's where our interest is shifting to at the moment. I think the new one-channel formats are really useful for that. I don't think that works very well in the current channel formats. The playlists are quite ugly and really difficult to navigate, in my opinion. So now that one channel is available, we're really reviewing that strategy and saying, well, let's talk more about serializing our content. In terms of subscribers, you know, none of our channels have a great number of subscribers, and that's really because we have in the past had that same problem. We haven't really called for a subscription. Most of the time we'd be driving to purchase. One of the things we do a lot of is what's called a clickable overlay. So this is something that you can only access when you are using a particular video on your YouTube channel to advertise. So let's say I've got a behind-the-scenes video about Jersey boys in New Zealand, and let's say I'm actually using that video as a promoted in-stream or in-display ad on YouTube. Once I've set up that ad, YouTube unlocks an additional feature that lets me add a clickable overlay to the video. So that's actually set back in YouTube, so not in AdWords. So after you place your ad in AdWords, go back into YouTube, go to edit the video, and you'll see there's an additional option that appears there for a clickable overlay. So you can add a call to action very directly on that. You can add a link that links to anywhere you want it to, and you can add some very short basic text copy to that clickable overlay. So I've had great success with that kind of response in driving a direct ticket sale.
Thanks, Rae. I did want to say that Pen Travella, who asked the earlier questions, said, damn, got to go to a meeting. Great webinar, Rae. We'll definitely be watching the rerun. So I just wanted to pass that feedback on. We've got another question from Brent Simpson, who's here watching. Can a single Google account have multiple YouTube channels?
Yes, it certainly can, absolutely. Google at the moment are really encouraging people to use their own names for their YouTube channel, which is really irritating. I'm so sick of answering that question when I log into YouTube. But you can definitely have multiple channels, so multiple brand channels under a single Google account.
Great. I wondered, with the new channel layout and the channel posts that you can use and the drive towards subscriptions, do you have any tips about maintaining a conversation with your subscribers?
Look, I think that's really about posting regular content. So think about actually helping them to discover your next useful video, your next entertaining or interesting video. The conversation really doesn't need to be any different to what you might do on Facebook. You know, I think you must always like and reply when they make a comment. It's particularly important, I think, to watch and monitor your YouTube comments in, say, a couple of hours or the first 24 hours after posting it, but don't ignore it completely. So don't spend that first 24 hours and then ignore it. So just like Facebook, make sure you reply when they make a comment. Make sure you like what they're saying so you can like or dislike comments on YouTube, and really be part of that conversation so that it doesn't just end passively at I posted a video.
And just speaking of that, while you're on that topic, how much investment would you put into going around and liking, commenting on other channels? Is that part of your strategy generally?
Yeah, you know what, we don't do too much of that. and it hasn't been part of our strategy, but I do think that in the creative industries that we could do a lot more of that engagement. Just as we do focus on collaborating in the creation of our work, we can be much more active members of that YouTube community. It is a community, not just a publishing platform, and it's so easy to forget that. So I think it would be a smart part of a strategy, most definitely.
Thanks. We have a question here from Karen Beanland. We recently had some digital marketing workshops here, Rae, and Stuart Buchanan was here speaking, and he was talking about Vine. Well, we were all talking about Vine, Twitter Vine as a video platform. So Karen would like to know if you've got any particular thoughts about Vine and whether it's a platform you'll be using or think is going to take off, that sort of thing.
Yeah,
sorry to throw that at you.
No, that's all right. That's totally fine. I mean, I think it's definitely something we'll play with. We find as a digital team, like I'm sure many of you do, that we're very, very stretched, and we like to focus on doing the things like the channel presences that we currently have, to doing those really well, and we don't always early adopt new things as they're coming out. We like to wait until they've got a bit of a fan base before we invest the time in it. Now, that's just a decision that we make about how we spend our time. I think it's going to be quite a while before there's any video platform that has anywhere the reach of YouTube. So if I had the choice, then I'd be spending my time on YouTube.
Great, thank you. I don't think we have any more questions at this point, and we need to wrap up. So firstly, Rae, I did want to thank you again for a fantastic and very useful webinar.
No problem.
We have, everyone who's listening, we have, as you close down, you'll get a link to a survey. You'll be invited to give your feedback on the webinar, and we'd really appreciate that. Our next webinar is on Wednesday, 24th of April, and this is on audience insights from online analytics. Some of you have been asking about the Optimizer benchmarking program. We'll be releasing a few insights and data from that during this webinar as well. Sabrina will be adding a copy of this webinar, the recording, and also a PDF of the slides up on the Creative New Zealand website over the coming week. So she will email you all once that's up and live, and so you can listen again or share it around to people. And Jackie also just wanted me to let you know that at the next webinar, Helen Bartle will have returned. As you know, Jackie Hay has been doing the maternity leave contract for Helen Bartle, so from Creative New Zealand. So Helen will be back on board for our next webinar. And I think that's it, and thanks very much everyone, and have a fantastic day. And
Happy Easter, everybody.
Rae, sorry, just one last question's come in, but what I might do, because we're just wrapping up, is send that across to you after this webinar. Okay.
No problem. Happy Easter.
Yeah, happy Easter, everyone. Thanks very much.